For today's lesson, our focus standard comes from Grade 7, Ratios and Proportional Relationships, Standard 3. Use proportional relationships to solve multi-step ratio and percent problems. Our topic for today comes from Proportional Relationships, Review of Percent Problems. Our essential question is, how can we use ratios to help us solve problems that involve percentages? Please take a moment pausing the video if you need to copy down the topic and essential question in your header, along with today's date, set up your question column and your note column, and resume the video when you're ready to begin. So this might be a review of some types of problems you've seen in 6th grade, but I'm not sure if all of you have seen the percent triangle. So we can think of percents as being the calculation of the ratio of the part to the whole. So if we take the part and divide it by the whole, that will equal the percent. What's helpful about this percent triangle is in percent problems, you can be given any one or any two of these three parts. You're either going to be given the percentage and the whole and be asked to find the part. And in that case, because percent and whole are written across from each other, this little diagram reminds us to multiply. So if we take the whole and multiply by the percent, we find the part. If we're given the part and the percentage, well, we can take that part value, divide it by the percent, always in its decimal form, and that will tell us the whole. So we can just fill in any of the two pieces of information that we're given from a problem, and this will be our key to help us figure out what operation to do to find what it's asking. And again, this is a review of some 6th grade content, but is very helpful in our application of 7th grade problems to come. So let's go ahead and look at some of our practice problems. So here's a common problem from the 6th grade curriculum. It says 18 is what percent of 35? So you might have your own methods of figuring this out, but let's go ahead and see what it would look like to use this percent triangle. So the first thing we want to do is figure out what information out of here do we know. Well, it says is what percent, so we are trying to find the percentage. So we're looking for the percent, so I put a question mark there. 18 is of 35. So one other thing I didn't mention is a good keyword for the part. So when you see this, that's going to be talking about the part. So we're going to put 18 in here. And of 35, of is our keyword for figuring out the whole. So we'll put that here. So now, just looking at, by taking the keywords and information from this problem, we've actually set it up. If we take 18, which is the part, divide it by 35, it'll tell us what the percent is. So let's go ahead and set that problem up. So 18 divided by 35, I like to just use that as a fraction, and it may be helpful to actually use our calculator here. So yeah, if we just calculate that out, 18 divided by 35, always numerator divided by denominator, then we get this nice long decimal, but we really only need to go round it to 3 places. So it's a 0.5142. Well, that 2 tells us to go ahead and stay at the 4, so we can round that to 0 and 514 thousandths. And if so we're closer, right? We're trying to find the percent, so we have it as a decimal form. If we multiply this by 100, we take our decimal and multiply that by 100, it'll tell us what the percentage is. Well, multiplying by 100 is just going to move this decimal place once, twice to the right. So 0 and 514 thousandths is 51 and 4/10%. So that answers our question. 18 is 51 and 4/10% of 35. Let's go ahead and try our next one. We're now being asked for number 2, what number is 20% of 84? Can you fill in the information on our percent triangle? Well, let's see if we agree. So I noticed it said what number is. Well, remember is our keyword for the part. So what number is? So we're looking for the part. That's where I put the question mark. They gave us a percentage right here, so I just put that percentage in the percent section. And then of 84, of is our keyword, that is the whole. So I put 84 in the whole section. So now what this is telling us is that if we take 84 times the percent, that'll tell us what number is 20% of 84. It'll give us the part. The important thing to remember is that we always use the percent as its decimal equivalent when we're doing calculations. So what is 20% as a decimal? That's right, it's 0 and 20 hundredths. Or you could have also said 0 and 2 tenths. So now, let's set up our calculations to find the missing part. Go ahead and do that. Let's check back and compare our work. Here's how I set it up. Do you agree? We took the whole 84 and we're multiplying it by the percent in its decimal form. So if we have it set up correct, what is the answer? What number is 20% of 84? That's right. It would be 16 and 8 tenths. So 16 and 8 tenths is 20% of 84. Let's go ahead and try our last problem. Number 3. Eve is making a friendship bracelet with 2 yellow strings, 4 blue strings, and 3 green strings. What percent of the bracelet is green? So this one is going to ask us to do a little bit more calculations. But can you figure out how to set it up in our percent triangle? Go ahead and do so, and then let's check back to see if we would agree. Alright, what you thinking? Well, here it says what percent of the bracelet. So what percent automatically made me put a question mark in our percent section of the triangle. Of the bracelet, so we're talking about the total amount or the total number of strings. So I put total strings here, haven't done any calculations yet, just trying to get it set up. And then is green, so again using that keyword, is tells us the part, and I looked back at the question and there are 3 green strings, so I put 3 in the section for the part. So, if we can figure out the total number of strings, we have our work all set up for us. So let's go ahead, pause the video here, do our calculations, and check back. So here's what I've got so far. We had our setup, and so I made my fraction, the part of 3, over the total number of strings, and I found by just adding this information up here that there were 9 total strings, so 3 over 9. Well, right away this is starting to look like a familiar fraction, so if you've already gotten it set up this far, make sure you've solved it all the way, and then let's make sure we agree. Well, by doing these calculations, simplifying our original fraction, 3 divided by 9, our part divided by the whole, that simplified to 1/3. 1/3 is a fraction we know is 0 and 33 hundredths, where those 3's repeat forever. And therefore, as a percentage, it would be 33 and 3/10%. Then I wrote my answer out, since this is a word problem, and interpreted that answer in a complete sentence to answer the question. So Eve's bracelet is 33 and 3/10% green. That concludes our video for today. I hope you found this to be a helpful review of percent problems and how to use this percent triangle. And I look forward to doing more problems like this in class.